How are we going, everybody? I was just out here in the garden earlier on having a look around the raised beds and thinking about what I'm going to do next, because I've been doing the weeding earlier on in the middle bed where I'm going to be planting the big malaccas. You can see the lettuce there of just, well, they're halfway through their growing stages, so I'm just going to let them finish off. And then I've got to prepare that bed and get the compost and the mulch and the soil all nice and fluffy. And why I'm back on that topic again is because this is a bed that I prepared. Well, I haven't prepared, I cleaned out. And I mentioned it a couple of days ago. If you remember, I transplanted little clumps of tomatoes here in groups and clusters like that there. Well, have a look at this. I've got spring onions in the middle here. These are the ones that I cut from the bottom off, but more importantly, look at this, look at these cracks. What's going on here? This is a good garden bed, although the soil did come from that bad batch of soil I had last year put into the other beds. But this one did perform well with the tomatoes and the leafy greens and the spring onions. See the clay bits in there? It's a little bit of a, looks like brick sand, but it's almost like, you can't break it. It's brick sand, you break, it's almost like a stone, not a basalt, a sandstone. Crazy stuff. This crusting over is what we don't want happening in our garden beds. And I don't need this in here, that's for sure. This garden bed has never done that before. After I turned it over and I replanted the spring onions, look, when I scratch it, you can see it just, look at it break up. But see how it's crust over on the surface? The hot sun out of nowhere comes along and just bakes it and bakes it dry. So it's dehydrating quicker on top, hence the shrinkage, than it can, it hasn't got the elasticity that it needs. To fix it, well, it needs bark, compost, mulch, all that wonderful stuff that we talk about all the time. And that's what I've got to do here. In this bed here, by comparison, have a look. This is the one with the coir. Look at that. Look how fluffy that is. Honestly, look, it's a little bit crusty, but nowhere near as the other side. Side by side beds. This one's been treated, the other one hasn't. Same soil, but really soft. And these are the big malaccas. Now they've taken off already. They've only been in the ground 3 or 4 days. Considering the way they were earlier on, they've taken off. And here's a little tip for everybody else. Now normally I tell you to plant your tomatoes deeper, because my ones haven't come on big enough yet for me to do that, and I want to get some tomatoes into the ground. These aren't deep enough, so what I've done, or what I'm going to do, is actually create a raised garden bed around them. So we've got a raised garden bed, they're planted into there, but we're also going to raise it a little bit more with this little unit. And it's a old 10-inch pot. You can go bigger if you like. Cut the base off it, if I can cut it off. A bit more. So we cut the base off. See right through it, that's all we need. So as the tomato grows, I'll go to this corner one here. As the tomato grows, we sit this over the top, like that. Pop it in. And as it gets taller, we top it up with a little bit of composted soil. So aged manure, compost, a little bit of cocoa pith, cocoa coir if you like, or the coconut stuff, the husk, and liquid feed. I suggest you try our Eco Butch and Liquid Gold to stimulate their growth, and you'll see tremendous results really. So for anybody who's planting their tomatoes, think about doing something like that. If you're worried about your tomatoes not growing big enough root system, that's a nice little tip, because as you cover it, so I didn't explain why we do it, so as you cover the stem of the tomato, it actually brings on more root growth. So you'll find more fibrous root growing off that stem, giving it a stronger plant overall, therefore a better production on top. So if you can't plant them deep enough, because they're already too small, as they grow, put a pot around them, fill it up, liquid feed them, and plenty of black grit. And if you haven't tried it, you're missing out, folks. And as the season comes, hopefully we get a nice big crop on this wall, with lots of tomatoes and big malaccas. Now folks, check out our website, vasilisgarden.com, for great specials every day of the year. It's what they say, great products at better prices every day. From me, Vasili, Maresi, that's vasilisgarden.com.